What's going on,
Hey, what's
everybody?
going on,
This is
everybody?
the host
Welcome to
of Recover Out Loud podcast, Sean Young. Before we dive in, I want to be clear. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not here to diagnose or treat. I'm simply a catalyst, someone who's walked through the fire and now speaks from experience, reflection, and a deep desire to help others find their way forward. This podcast may include honest conversations about addiction, mental health challenges, and suicidal thoughts or ideations. These are real parts of the human experience, and we won't shy away from them. If you're listening, please do so with self care and self awareness. And if you're struggling, please reach out. There's help out there. And most importantly, there's hope. Viewer discretion is advised. Now let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Recover Out Loud podcast. Today is episode 95. We got very special guest, Sam Mitchell. How you doing, Sam?
Hey, buddy. Good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, man. Thanks for volunteering to be on. Before we get started, man, I see you jamming out to the intro.
We both jammed out. My mother's in the background right here. You want to say hi?
Hi. That's awesome. Today, like I said, we got a special guest, Sam Mitchell. Sam is the host of Autism Rocks and Rolls, and we're going to hear his story today. But Sam, would you like to give a little intro about yourself?
Yeah. So, hello, everyone. My name is Sam Mitchell. I run a podcast called Autism Rocks and Rolls. It's a podcast about autism and how we cope with daily struggles that you may not understand. But through the podcast, it's grown so much. I developed sponsors, a board of 6 members. I'm also an event planner in Indianapolis, where I'm from. I also do motivational speaking services. I've spoken in Oklahoma, Orlando 3 times, Canada twice, Stuart, Florida, and Washington, D.C. I was a keynote speaker in Daniels, West Virginia. I also did a work conference in Columbus, Ohio. But through the podcast, what I'm trying to do in reality is change a perception that, in my view, gets ignored way too often or gets ridiculed for the most ridiculous reasons alive, since I believe it's not fair to have a label on you or get discriminated against because you have a label upon your head.
Absolutely. And before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much for what you do for your community. It is it's very empowering and very impassionate of you to do. Thank you.
Of course, anytime.
Absolutely. And Sam's a real inspiration. I've checked out his podcast. He's a really good dude, and everything that he does really advocates for his community. And that's what this channel is all about. And that's what this podcast is all about: is advocating for your communities and standing in the gap where others are not able to. So, Sam, would you like to start and tell us about how autism has affected your life before now?
Well, it's affected my life because I live with it every day, for one thing. That's one way it affects me. But I also get to be very creative, outside the box thinker. Sometimes I have real bad anxiety. I have sensory issues. Today it was rain a few minutes ago, and when I was coming to the school to do my interview because of poor bandwidth, I thought, you got to be kidding me.
Does the rain affect you really bad?
The rain doesn't, but the raindrops do. Because that gets my clothes wet, and I hate wearing wet clothes because of texture or feeling. For
Absolutely.
some autism, it's other things. It could be taste. It could be smells. I won't say which restaurant there is, but there's a smell at a certain restaurant, and because I can't go in there because the smell is just awful, and I can't go in there. It honestly smells like someone took a big vomit and no one cleaned it up, if that says anything.
Oh man, that does smell kind of nasty. I can kind of get the smell in my nose. It doesn't smell great.
No.
No. So a little bit about me. My guests don't know, and I haven't shared this before. I have a brother that has autism. He is 19 years old, and some of the strides that I have seen him make because he's put the effort into to not allow his diagnosis to determine him. It's just amazing. He graduated high school, top of his class. Yeah, absolutely. And this is he when he went into high school, he had a fourth grade education, and he just went in and put the pedal to the metal, and I couldn't be more proud of him.
I'm sure your brother's proud of you too.
Absolutely, absolutely. He's very passionate about what he does, and I'm trying to get him to a point where he starts speaking up for the community too, because what he's done is very powerful, and it's it needs to be celebrated. And I'm sure that every all your accomplishments are celebrated too.
Well, I think they try to be. I mean, I want to just help out people as much as I can. But every day, social media, a lot too. We try to every day.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when did you start speaking up about and advocating for your community?
Well, the podcast really happened in 2019. Kind of when it started. The nonprofit of it happened in 2020, but nothing really happened because of the COVID-19 pandemic, putting a lot of probations on the world, and it really didn't get much attention until 2021. But as far as motivational speaking goes, my first speaking engagement was in 2022, and I was invited to Broken Arrows, Oklahoma. First one I ever done. I wasn't sure what to expect, but now I know what to expect. I kind of gotten used to the conferences now.
Nice, nice. So when you
I'll
started your go ahead.
people.
When you started your podcast and you were in the beginning phases, how difficult was it for you to speak up about some of the things that affect your life or advocacy for you?
Well, it was more relief because with my situation, you had to be there to understand the stories,
Yeah,
or if I try to explain it, people would stare at me like I was a dead dog. It wouldn't make any sense.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So would you say podcasting was a great platform for you to be able to share your experience more openly than you would with a handful of people around?
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%.
Nice, nice. So that first speaking engagement that you had in Broken Arrow, how was that for you?
It was very relieving. I kind of wasn't for sure what to talk about, so I just kind of talked about myself, and it was more of, oh, look what I can do.
Yeah,
But it's evolved since. Trust me, it really can take my presentation in many directions now. We can go from law enforcement direction to an HR direction to my story direction to changing the stigma direction. There's just a lot of paths you can go to, and yeah, a school path too.
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm sure that you've had engagements, speaking engagements, around local law enforcement or law enforcement in general. Um, how how was it speaking with them and really being able to relate to them or informing them, advocacy for your community?
Oh, it's fun. It's definitely fun for sure, but there's a serious side to it because when they go on a scene, they don't know,
Yeah,
and they think it's a dangerous human being.
yeah,
Which, not saying those on spectrum are dangerous human beings. There have been cases where there are dangerous human beings, but that's not the case all the time. There could be a loud sensory issue going on, and it's the sirens that are going off that's killing their head, and they become insane because of it.
yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of some of the times when society approaches somebody that does have autism and we don't understand the ticks, we don't really understand like how it actually affects people with autism. I've when I've been around my brother, I've had to understand that he has sensory issues and he has all the different issues that I have to be cognizant of and make sure that I'm assisting him when things may go awry. And so um, how some some of the training that goes into security force or law enforcement, how have you been able to go in there and speak to them and share your experience and and talk to them and just get them to really empathize with your case and your situation?
Well, to tell them facts they need to consider all the time now. If they have a suspicious feeling they're on the spectrum, maybe I can give a little preview of what it is. So, a lot of those people on the spectrum take things literally.
Yeah.
One of the funniest things that cops say, and it's not funny in the moment, but it is funny when you watch it on television, is freeze, get on the ground. Well, here's the problem. How do you freeze and get on the ground at the same time? You
Yeah.
can't. There's
Yeah.
no human way to do that. What it needs to say, in my view, is freeze, then get on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. I never thought about that. People with autism do take things really seriously and very literally. So that's a really good point. And I think the way that you structured it and saying "Hey, break it down," where you say freeze and then get on the ground would really help a lot of situations that police are involved in when it comes to autistic people.
Right. And another thing you can learn is sometimes, and it's not because they're in trouble, they just could have been a witness to a crime. They have to get interrogated.
Yeah.
Not all the time because they got in trouble. It could be. I'm not saying that's not the case, but they are in an interrogation room, no matter if they're a suspect, even if they're the victim, whether they're a witness, or maybe they're an accomplice and they didn't realize it, or they are an accomplice and they do realize it. They're gonna stem. They're gonna flap their hands. They're gonna be sweating out of their socket because in their brain, let's be honest, it usually doesn't go well in an interrogation room from what we've seen on the media.
Yeah, and it's also very intimidating too. And I would venture to think that somebody with autism that intimidation factor would be ramped up quite a bit.
Oh yeah, it's an awful feeling. It is the worst feeling alive you can imagine. I mean, it's anxiety times 1,000. I think sometimes that's a worse hangover to overcome than an original hangover. Not
Yeah.
saying the same for alcohol and recoverers, because I know that's what this show is mainly about. But I'm going back through what I've experienced, and I can only say it because I haven't had a hangover yet, too.
Well, that's a good thing. I hope that you don't have to suffer from a hangover. They're not fun. Um, but so how have you been able to change the stigma around autism and how human beings with autism are treated?
Well, this is one example of the podcast.
Absolutely.
But I would also say the way I change the stigma is sharing my story, speaking up as a disability advocate, because I try to support other known diseases, disorders like autism, like bipolar disorder, alcoholism. I've had some experience with that. I also try to support OCD because I'm going to be realistic. It's awful to feel like that, how they make you feel. It's not easy to get up every day and feel the sun shining over your head.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I would agree. As somebody who's a recovering alcoholic, I can't tell you how many times some of the most nasty things I've heard from people come from people that have not experienced it, and I'm sure that you have encountered the same thing.
Right. And I've seen other disorders can do, how it can affect families. And it's just terrible.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So on this journey, I know you had your mom and you showed your mom on here. She's been there every step of the way, I guarantee you. How has that helped her to understand you better?
I got this. Gina.
Tina.
That's what my guest did. Judy Gold from World's Dumbest did. Question yourself, buddy.
Okay, if everybody's okay with it. Hi, how are you?
That's fine. That's fine.
Good. Now, what was the
Good.
question?
How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, so the question is I'm pretty sure you've been there every step of the way for Sam. and what he's doing. How has that helped you to understand him better?
Well, Sam has taught me a lot, not just about autism, but just how to be a good human being. There have been times I'm a pretty, I don't know, kind of outspoken, woman, and yeah, Sam is saying spastic, but I don't know about that. But I, I definitely have, like he has schooled me a lot of times in coming down kind of from my high horse, and him, wanting to live in a world that accepts him, and just me not, I don't know, he's a good human being, and he's taught me to do the same thing. I always say when his mission became for people to understand him, and to fight the stigma that,
Oh,
okay, sorry, whenever he wanted to fight that stigma, then it became my fight too, and it always will. So I guess the biggest thing I've learned from Sam is to how to be a good human being, because he truly is. And he's taught me that, I'm a teacher, and he's taught me that he learns differently, he thinks differently, which I don't even know about that, because we all think differently. Yeah. I mean, we just, I don't know. I don't know who we're comparing him to, but he's really helped me understand my students better, especially those on the spectrum. So that's the biggest lesson I've learned from Sam.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Some of our life lessons that we learn are from the people closest to us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I want to take a moment and say thank you for being there for Sam. It's hard. I know my mom struggles. I have a brother who's autistic, and she struggles sometimes. She was the strongest woman that I know for him. And when he got of age and he started going out and discovering the world, she just kind of crumbled. And so, thank you for being strong for him, and being there for him, and not giving up on him.
Yeah.
You,
No.
you, I know she did the best winner.
Yeah, I did in the state of Indiana. I don't deserve this more than anybody else, but I did win Mother of the Year. I don't know if I like. Yeah, no, I did. I have the award setting, but I'm not sure I deserved it every day, for sure. But no, I think anytime you parent, it requires patience, and I've always said, I don't know. I don't know if I have it harder, because there are people that have it harder than me. There were things that we didn't have to. My husband and I didn't have to. I don't want to say deal with, but there were things that we just have to acknowledge, just things that, Sam having a lot of interest in driving, which we want him to, but that took a lot of worry off my plate. I don't know. It's one of those things where, you never met anybody that said, oh, raising those kids, wow, that was the easiest thing I've ever done. Like, you don't ever meet anybody who says
No.
that. But I had a parent teacher conference one time, and I will always remember this, several years ago. And it was a friend of mine. So I had their child in class, but they said something like, you're doing such a great job with Sam. And or they said, I know it has to be hard sometimes. And I said, it's probably not any harder than a lot of people. And he looked at me and he said, but Gina, it is. It is harder. And you should own that. And it's okay to say that your life some days is harder than a
Yeah.
lot of people. So ever since he said that, you know what? It's hard. It's hard sometimes. And I'm not going to be afraid to say that. So you're right. Some days still it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you want to show that you're strong, but it's okay to like not be strong, and it's okay to to say, hey, today just sucked, and not any fault of anybody's, but it just was not a great day. And so really acknowledging that, and like giving and validating yourself is really, really huge.
Well, you said fault, and that's something else as far as parenting Sam. Um, we didn't give him a free pass for having autism. And we were not, I mean, I wasn't a strict parent. I'm still not a strict parent. What I demanded, and Sam knows this, was he had to be with or without autism. He was going to, and if he was disrespectful because of autism, okay, then we're going to have a conversation about that later, and we're going to understand that disrespect is disrespect. I don't care if you're autistic or not. We're not doing that, and this is how, we not do that. And so, as far as fault goes, there have been times where I've had a terrible, terrible day, and I'm just going to say it. It was Sam's fault. It was Sam's fault that I had a terrible day, and I wasn't like, like giving up on him, but it was more of, this is how you behaved. So therefore, I felt like you had some control over that. And therefore, this is the kind of day that we've had. So let's learn from this. And in the future, maybe instead of this, maybe you can do this. Like, I didn't sugarcoat it. I gave him the resources that he needed. Very, very successful young man. At the end of the day, it was Sam's fault. It was Sam's fault. And he was going to.
I'm very much an advocate for, I believe very much so that regardless of your diagnosis, a lot of people understand right from wrong.
Mhm.
And you can choose to act one way or you can choose to act the other. And then, but you don't get to blame your diagnosis, right? Like I have PTSD, I have traumatic brain injury, I have vertigo, I have epilepsy. I don't get the right to walk out and do something heinous and then say, "Sorry, I'm a veteran with PTSD. You need to excuse me." That's not how the world works. So holding people to the same standard that we would hold ourselves is very, very much needed in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you have to, you've met one person with autism, and you have to meet them where they are. So you might have somebody else that has the same diagnosis, but they might level, or they might be struggling with something else. So if they are disrespectful, well, maybe you have to look at it a little bit differently. You can't condone it, but you have to, whatever it, you have to treat each person on this planet like an individual, and you can't put people in boxes, and you can't compartmentalize things. It's just, it doesn't help anybody whenever you do that. And I try to do that with my students. I teach
Yeah.
8th grade, so they are a whole different beast. And I have to remember that some days before I totally lose my ever loving mind.
Yeah.
But I try really, really hard to think in my brain, okay, grammar might be the last thing on their mind. They're hungry. They saw their dad or their mom crap out of somebody. Maybe mom's in jail. Uh, Maybe there's no food in the cabinets. I mean, I have to know that, and I have to put things into perspective. And I tried to do that with Sam too. With, okay, what is he really struggling with, and when is he just being, pardon my French, but a total asshole?
Yeah.
When, like, that was hard to differentiate sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And autism isn't a cookie cutter diagnosis. Um, you know, uh, Not every person diagnosed uh, with with autism is going to act the same,
Yeah.
right? It's going to have the same ticks. I'm pretty sure my brother's ticks are different than Sam's, which is different than the next person. And so, like you said, you've if you've met one person with autism, you met one person with autism. You haven't met the whole spectrum. And so I like that you put it like that. And yeah, absolutely. I really think approaching situations with an understanding of we don't really know what's happening once they leave the situation. Um, and that's how I've lived my whole adult life is like if I'm interacting with somebody, I don't know what is happening past this engagement. So you treat them with respect and dignity, and if they start to act like an asshole, like you said, uh, then you kind of adjust the way that you talk to them, but treat them still the same way because we don't know what's going on, past our engagement.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I always said to Sam. I always said to my son, know, like we don't agree, or I'm getting angry, you're getting angry. Just stop. And if you need to go walk out in the hallway, I mean, granted, I've done it for 20 years, not always gone, but I try really to think in the moment, like, okay, this is working, so let's figure this out. But life's hard, so it doesn't always work out like that sometimes. But I will hand the phone back to Sam. He's sitting here. I don't want to overtake.
Absolutely.
So it's good to meet you, and thank you very much for giving him the
Nice to
opportunity
meet you.
to talk on your podcast. So thank you.
Thank you for what you do for him. It's very important.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
what you do too, and thank you for your service.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Thanks for the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You good?
Maybe you might want
Oh shoot.
All right, Mr. Sam. We're going to talk about moving forward. So moving forward, what is on the plate for you to whether it's in the next month, the next few months, what do you got going on in your schedule?
Well, one thing's for sure to get a job. I just graduated college with an associate's degree in broadcasting, so yay on that. I got a lead yesterday. We're waiting to hear back from them. But with Autism Rocks and Rolls wise, what I'm hoping to do with it one day is to get to where it could be no longer a part-time gig and make it a full-time gig. Like, I wish, realistically, when I graduated college, I could have just went home and continued Autism Rocks and Rolls as a full-time job.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be awesome. I mean, if all the podcasters could make it a full-time job, it would be great. I would love to have this as a full-time job too. But congratulations on graduating, man. That's huge. It's really huge.
I appreciate the encouragement.
Yeah, man, you're doing awesome, man. You're breaking so many barriers, man, and it's very important. And I'm grateful for you.
Well, I'm glad that you are, and I'm happy to come on the Recover Out Loud podcast. And I think that's what we all try to do some days, is just recover from our hardships.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Sam. Before I go, I always ask my guests this question: what are 3 things you're grateful for today?
Well, I'm grateful for family, always, like mother and father and grandparents, always. Wake up every day grateful today, at least when it's summertime. I'm a big fan of the outdoor weather when it's hotter than 90 degrees. I wish it could be like that, but it's not like that every day in Indiana. We get the cold winters. I will be honest with you. I do not like cold. And the third thing I am grateful for is just the wonderful people I met, being on this podcast, the board I have. It's just, sometimes I forget how good my life is because it couldn't have gone that way. I know a lot of people who have met people who hung out with the wrong crowd. Their parents aren't the best. Dad beat up mom. It's awful. I don't have to deal with alcoholism, which I'm not trying to undermine it. It's a really relevant issue, but I'm just thankful I don't have to deal with it.
Oh, I understand. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy at all. Uh, so, Sam, where can we find you at?
You can find me on your favorite media platforms. I'm not a hard guy to find. If you Google me and your search engine optimization, something's going to pop up. I'm on the social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. Not a hard guy to find.
Sweet, sweet. All right, Sam. I want to thank you for taking this time to hang out with us and just share part of your story, man, and just and brighten my day a little bit. I needed this. Thank you.
Of course, any day.
All right, brother. Until next time, everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Be kind to yourself. Be gracious to yourself. You are loved, you are worthy, and you are worth it. Much love.